Friends, in the before video we discussed about like starting stage of cardiac cycle, which is relaxation of auricles. Now, what happens when the auricles contracts? Relaxation, we know that the blood are transferred from the veins to both auricles are filled with blood. Okay, in the relaxation of auricles. Now, what happens if the auricles are contracted? So, when these auricles are being pressed, the blood is transferred to ventricles, isn't it? Let us take a sponge. So, let us take a sponge. If we press the sponge of the first part of the sponge, the second part automatically relaxes. Yes, yes or no? If we divide the sponge into these four types, if we press this, the particles which the blood which is in the auricles move to ventricles. Okay, we all know that veins have valves, not exactly veins, but we discussed four types of valves at the starting of the lesson: tricuspid, bicuspid valves. These two are important here. So, tricuspid valve and bicuspid valve, what is the valves are doing? So, when the auricles are contracted, when the both two auricles are contracted, the pressure increases in the heart muscles, isn't it? The pressure increases and the deoxygenated blood, carefully listen, the deoxygenated blood is carrying from right auricle to right ventricle by tricuspid valve. Here the tricuspid valve is present and it is carrying, it is opening, the valve is opening and is flowing the deoxygenated blood from right auricle to right ventricle. We already know how this deoxygenated blood originates here by the superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Starting stage of relaxation, they separate blood. Now, at the contraction stage, right auricle is giving blood to right ventricle. What about here left auricle and left ventricle? In this left auricle and left ventricle, bicuspid valve is opens and pushes the blood. Which blood? Oxygenated blood. Why? Because at the first stage, the oxygenated blood, the pulmonary vein is carried oxygenated blood to left auricle. Now, in this contraction stage, the left auricle is carrying oxygenated blood to left ventricle. Now, what happens here? Both the ventricles are filled with blood. This is the contraction of auricles. What happens in the contraction of auricles? So, we have completed two stages here: relaxation of auricles and contraction of auricles. Let us see the third stage. Okay, now we will see the third stage here: contraction of ventricles and relaxation of auricles. Right now we discussed about relaxation and contraction of auricles, but now contraction of ventricles. What happens if the ventricles are contracted? If the ventricles are contracted, the blood flows from left ventricle to aorta. Left ventricle to aorta. Aorta means nothing but systemic artery. We all know that systemic artery is carrying which blood? Oxygenated blood from left ventricle to heart muscles. We know already about body parts. Which is carrying the oxygenated blood from left ventricle to body parts. Okay, and also right ventricle is carrying oxygenated blood to where? Pulmonary vein, pulmonary artery. Okay, sorry. Okay, left ventricle is carrying the deoxygenated blood to oxygenated blood to aorta, and right ventricle is carrying deoxygenated blood to pulmonary artery. So, here we have a doubt. So, when the auricles are contracted, the blood moves to ventricles. Why? Because the ventricles are contracted, the blood does not move to auricles. We already discussed there are two valves are present. How it goes? Valves just allows the flow of blood in only one direction. It already allows in the before stage in one direction, and again if the blood is going back, the blood will go back. Yes, in this stage first the blood will go back to this, but here when the blood reaches the valves, they close they closes, the walls are closes and makes a sharp sound called lub. Okay. Okay. Here our heart is beating like lub dub. No, the first lub is produces when the blood are trying to move through the walls in the stage, in this stage. Okay, the heart produces a sharp sound called lub. Okay. Now, because they are not travel to the auricles, they transport the blood to left ventricle to aorta and right ventricle, left ventricle to aorta and right ventricle to pulmonary artery. Okay. And this is now okay, what happens when the relaxation of ventricles? When the ventricles are relaxes, we may observe that okay, if the ventricles are contracted, the blood moves to left ventricle to aorta and right ventricle to arteries, pulmonary arteries. If the right ventricle and left ventricle relaxes, does the blood moves again from aorta to left ventricle or pulmonary artery to right ventricle? No, the blood may goes, but the blood will try to go, but aorta and pulmonary artery contains semilunar valves. Okay, semilunar valves. The aorta and pulmonary artery, while the relaxation of ventricles, so the blood won't try to go to aorta to left ventricle, this valves closes and makes a little sound, means a small sound called dub. This is why, these are the two reasons why our heart is beating like lub dub. We say that the heart beats lub dub like that. So first reason is when the blood are trying to go to right ventricle to right auricle and left ventricle to left auricle, they produce a sharp sound called lub, and when the blood trying to go to aorta to left ventricle and pulmonary artery to right ventricle, again back, if you see, the arteries are again moving to ventricles, is it not? Why? Because these are only carrying, and how it again goes. We all know that the veins having valves, right? And again the arteries also, they have semilunar valves, the aorta and the pulmonary artery. That's why they did not allow the blood goes back to again to ventricles. Here we should make a doubt. You said that in the differences the arteries don't have valves. Yes, the veins have valves which does not allow the blood, but the arteries having semilunar valves which does not allow between them only, not throughout the body. Between them means left ventricle to aorta. Actually the blood travels left ventricle aorta, but does not travel aorta to again left ventricle. That's why in the between them the blood does not travel. Okay, that's why we have sounds like club and dub. This is about the cardiac cycle. Okay, this is about how the contractions are happen and how the relaxations are happen. That is why we are making sound lub dub. Okay, now we see how much time is taken to make a cardiac cycle. 0.8 seconds. Okay, the time taken for heart to make from the auricles and ventricles, not heart. Here we should write heart, means it is wrong. Why? Because cardiac cycle is means what? The contraction, relaxation of auricles and ventricles. We can't say that contraction and relaxation of heart makes lub dub sound. The contraction and relaxation of auricles and ventricles make the sound lub dub. Okay, it takes about 0.8 seconds to make these sounds, to make one cardiac cycle. Okay, now so how much time taken for one auricular contraction? So what happens when the auricle is contracted? The blood travels to deoxygenated blood travels and oxygenated blood travels. How much time taken? Almost 0.11 to 0.14 seconds time taken for one auricular contraction. And how much time is taken for one ventricular contraction? 0.27 to 0.35 seconds. Okay, time taken for one ventricular contraction. Okay, this is about cardiac cycle, about the stages in the cardiac cycle. Okay, So this is of today's video. If you like this video, press like button and don't forget to subscribe, and please like this video and share it to your family members and your friends. Thanks for watching, and let's meet in the next video.